The Raptors lose to the New Orleans Pelicans 138-100. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Jack Armstrong, Leo Rautins, and Sherman Hamilton. Leo, I'll start with you. How did this game get out of hand and then ultimately out of reach?
Well, you're playing against a talented team, right? Pelicans have a lot of talent in that team. They came out with a lot of fire. They were fresh. They were ready to go. Raptors, obviously, a little banged up, a little tired, uh, trying to figure it all out right now. And hey, in fairness, I mean, we've seen the Pelicans at different stages of the season where they didn't look as good as they do now. But they're hitting a good stride right now. They're in a good place. The Raptors, obviously, are not in a great place right now. They're trying to figure out a lot of different things, and things are still fluid. Nobody knows what's going to happen between now and Thursday. And if you're on the team, you got guys that are playing have no idea if they'll be here Thursday after Thursday. So that doesn't create a great environment to win or even to really compete at a high level. Even though you're a pro and you're supposed to, you're still a human being. So I think it affects everybody in a lot of different ways.
Jack, do you think that that's weighing on the team, and that would you think it would be difficult to play under those circumstances with the deadline just a few days away?
Yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about it. And I think there are certain nights in the NBA. You look at the schedule and you look at the teams and you go, what are the dynamics? And the Raptors losing in a double overtime game last night in Oklahoma City, where they led by over 20 points and gave up the lead. And now you got to go on the road on a back-to-back at New Orleans, and they're sitting there waiting for you. You're like, oh boy, this is not good. And considering then, you have the dynamics of the trade deadline coming up Thursday, it makes it that much more difficult. And I think tonight was an example of that. And we've all, over the course of our careers, seen many nights like this in the NBA, not just from the Raptors, but from teams all across the NBA, where just, you kind of have a scheduled loss. And tonight was your classic scheduled loss.
Sure. Obviously, there are moments in the season where you can kind of rise to the occasion. This was not going to be one of them for the Raptors after a double OT game last night and an emotional game last night as well. But on the other side of the ball, Brandon Ingram, just a performance, a great performance from him. He just looks like he's figured it out.
Well, it's a difficult game for the Raptors, second night of a back-to-back, as everyone knows. But credit New Orleans for coming into the game and just being about business and not giving the team confidence at all. It didn't allow them to get any type of momentum going, and the Raptors just didn't have it. But when you have a player like Brandon Ingram, who he can take a game over. I mean, he just got to his spots. He's one of the best in the mid-range. He's one of the best at making shots in the mid-range, but he manipulates the defender. He gets to his spots, and he's so long that when he starts to elevate and the shot release is so high that there's really nothing you can do at that point. And I think this is a question. If Zion Williamson is healthy and Brandon Ingram is playing at that level, they have a deep team. How good is this team in the Western Conference? Can they really make a run in the Western Conference? And from what I see with the way Willie Green has his team playing defense and the collective cohesiveness you see with this team, health might be the only thing from preventing this team from actually making noise in the Western Conference. It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes down.
You sure? If I could jump in here, I'm not buying in just because, I look at a guy like Zion. I mean, you've got a lot invested in that guy. He doesn't rebound. He still doesn't run the court. And, he can have some impressive nights. But if you want to say, am I going to hang my hat on this guy to take me deep into the playoffs? I don't know if I'm ready to say that. I don't see it happening. But you're right. If they're playing great defense, if they all buckle down, there's still other really good players in his team. But when you look at about making a run deep in the West, I don't know. I don't see it right now.
Jack, what do you think?
I think they're incredibly talented, and I think they're deep. The thing that I've said to a number of people is, from a pro personnel perspective, if you're looking at trying to raid a roster, that's one of the rosters you're trying to raid, because they got guys, spots 6 through 10 that are pretty good. I mean, they got guys that are really good in spots 1 through 5. They're good. The question is, to Leo's point, will their top guys play at that highest level? Look, I know Ingram, McCollum, and Jonas Valanciunas will play at an incredibly high level in terms of the effort that they're going to give. The question is going to be Zion, because he's been hit and miss. He's a bit of a tease, but when he puts his mind to it, he's as good as anybody in the league. And he made a few plays tonight that you just go, whoa. He made one play along the baseline on Jakob Poeltl, which was just remarkable. His footwork, he's so nimble. He's so explosive. The question is, will he do that? And I don't know the answer to it, but I will say this. I don't want to play them. They're really one of those teams that you look at and you go, oh boy, I really don't want to deal with these guys, because they potentially could get to the Western Conference Finals. I would say the other thing is, too, they don't have a great home court advantage, though. It's not a good basketball market. Basketball failed the last time there when they were the New Orleans Jazz. And I still have doubts whether they'll succeed, because the TV deal will prop them up. But nonetheless, I don't think it's a great basketball market. So I don't know whether they'll ever have home court advantage either.
Mm-hmm. Sherman, for the Raptors, the one bright spot I thought was Grady Dick, a career high 22 points tonight. It seemed like defensively lately he's been trying to do some things that are working, and then offensively it just feels like that part of the game caught up with his defensive effort this time.
Well, it's good to see him actually start to feel comfortable, start to understand when he hits the floor how he can get shots and be confident in taking and making plays. So, this is going to be a tough stretch potentially for the Raptors. And what you need to do is still see young players develop, still see young players have success on the floor. And you want to see growth and development, and you want to see good habits be instilled, and you don't want to see any bad habits be picked up during this time. So Brady's doing a good job. He's being responsible on the defensive end. He puts out a really good effort when he hits the floor, which I like to see. And I think that offensively, he's showing that he's more than just a shooter. So the progression is there. You're seeing the steps being taken. And these are the small wins in terms of, from the organization standpoint, figuring out how they can continue to develop these young players. And he's doing a great job taking advantage of these opportunities on the floor.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's leave the Raptors talk for now and go a different way. On this night, 25 years ago, Vince Carter made his NBA debut against fellow rookie Paul Pierce and the Celtics. That was also the night that Jack Armstrong called his very first Raptors game. Jack, I just want to congratulate you on 25 years. And my question is, this is a great picture, obviously. What do you remember the most about that night?
Well, obviously, Leo was there. John Saunders, my good friends, and they were amazing and couldn't have been more accommodating and friendly and amazing to work with. Number one, I guess the one thing that really jumps out at me about that night is I had you have your, and Sherm knows this as well as Leo. You have your pregame meal. Back then, they actually had pregame meals in press rooms, and I sat and had dinner with Cornbread Maxwell, Tommy Heinsohn, and Bob Cousy. And Tommy Heinsohn turns to me. He goes, "Coach, tell me about your team." And meanwhile, I'm going to myself, wait a minute. This is my first game with the Raptors. I'm an unemployed college basketball coach. I just got fired a few months ago. I don't want to talk about my team. I just got fired. Are you talking about the Raptors? Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about the Raptors, but to sit and chat with these three Celtic legends, I was like pinching myself, and like, here we are. And you're right. That was the first game that Paul Pierce and Vince Carter played. Paul is in the Hall of Fame, and Vince will be there soon enough when his time is there. And but I've had an incredible time working with Sherm and Leo and Randy, everybody, and we've had a lot of fun. And it's been great. And when you look back, when you look at basketball now in Canada, and Leo and Sherm could speak to this better than me. You look at where basketball's come in Canada now. I think back when I started with the Raptors, and for the 10 years prior, I was coaching at Niagara, which is a obviously a border school to Ontario, and so I'm very familiar with recruiting in Canada. And there were a lot of people that didn't want basketball to succeed. There were a lot of people that didn't think basketball could succeed. So to see where the sport is now, and look, we're talking on a night where the Raptors have really struggled tonight against the Pelicans, but nonetheless, the Raptors have had an amazing run. To see where basketball is now is just incredible, and it's so much fun, and there's so much excitement getting ready for the summer now of what Canada basketball can do.
Leo, do you remember Jack's first game?
Yeah, I remember, hey, Jack and Chuck and the whole crew, man. We always had, good people, exciting people. It was always fun. Like Jack said, we did our job. We had a good time, and that was the main
Tell me
thing.
about the good times.
Oh, there were a few good times along the way, and that's what makes it fun, right? You got to enjoy yourself. But
Yeah.
no, it was that was if I'm not mistaken, that's the one where Vince Carter hit the game winner, right?
He's had a lot
hit
of
the
them.
game winner.
I know the Raptors won the game. I can't remember, but the Raptors.
There was
won
one
the
in
game.
Boston. There was one in Boston.
Yes.
That might have been his rookie year. I might be thinking back to his rookie year, but
yeah. I think you're talking about the baseline three. Yeah, that was a game winner. I don't know if it was
that was his rookie year. That might have been his rookie year. When you start going backwards, it's hard to remember all that stuff. But all I know is we've had a lot of fun. Like Jack said, you think about where the games come. We started out doing the NBA. We're talking about here. This is a 3-second call. This is a double dribble. We're talking about this stuff in an NBA game because we had to teach a country about the game of basketball, right? Mm-hmm. And you were walking this fine line of not talking down to people that know and not talking over the heads of people that didn't know, and you were constantly trying to juggle both of those things, yet doing the NBA. So it's been a crazy journey to get to this point, and looking back, like Jack said, it's kind of cool to look back and see where it's come,
Yeah, Sherm, you were just a young guy during that time. When you hey,
there's the big man,
Sherm, when you think about Vince and that year and the game, was there a moment on the court in that game or another game where you're like, okay, this guy's going to be special?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was playing overseas at the time, so I was still trying to make a living over there during that time. But it's interesting because while being overseas, you saw when I would be watching NBA highlights, Vince Carter was anywhere from, I don't know, 2 to 4 of the highlights of the week when he talked about wowing the NBA. So it was phenomenal to see, and it was special, and there was a certain pride. I was overseas, and that team was playing from where I'm from, and it was a great feeling to see it. But Vince was phenomenal, and I had the pleasure to be around Vince at the 2000 Olympics, played against Vince with the Dream Team. So, and I've had a chance to play golf with Vince. So getting to know him over the years, you just realize how much pressure he had on him. And how much the country depended on him to really bring basketball across to the States and south of the border. And he did a great job, a phenomenal job of really putting Toronto on the map.
Mm-hmm. I got to say something, Sherman. You've had the privilege of playing golf with Leo and I as well. I mean, shouldn't that be right at the top of your list?
He didn't mention us, Jack. He didn't mention us at all.
Well, listen, we're talking about Vince. I have way more stories to tell you about Jack and Leo off the golf course.
Oh, yeah,
that's what I want to get to.
Okay, I got a Sherm story. Golf. Sherm was getting some got invites with the Raptors camps, and Glenn Grunwald was the GM with the Toronto Raptors. And I believe we were up at Red Tail for a Canada basketball golf event, and Sherm was on the driving range, and he's whacking the ball. And I think he shattered Grunwald's car window, right? I go, that's a great way to get yourself on the Raptors squad there, buddy.
Well, now he had a reason to never sign me to the Raptors, so it made sense.
Hey, it was a great drive, though. It was a hell of a drive.
Really, really left, though. I get it.
Sure. What's your are you a scratch or what's your handicap now on the golf course?
I scratch my body all the time.
Who's the best golfer between the three of you right now?
Sherm,
hands down. He plays all the time. Then Jack.
Yeah. And Jack,
No,
then Leo.
Sherman Jonesy or Canada's guess.
Okay.
Yeah. And Jack lives on a golf club in Lewiston, so he's playing on there all the time. So I'm out of this conversation.
Sherm is a member in Augusta, not Augusta. You know what I'm saying? Like he's living the life. There's no nation like no nation. You know what I'm saying?
Longest drive, Sherm. What's your longest drive?
Oh no, about 180 yards.
Come on.
What a sandbagger. What a sandbagger. He's the guy that lies about his shots. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and then takes all your money.
No, that's downwind too.
That's great stuff, guys. I really appreciate you doing this. And Jack, again, congratulations on a great 25 years, and looking forward to another 45 more or something like that, if the math works. I don't know. Next game for the Raptors, Wednesday against the Charlotte Hornets. Tip-off was at 7 p.m. Eastern. Raptors Tonight will go live on YouTube shortly after the game. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.